All right, let's dive right into one of philosophy's most challenging and, frankly, most dangerous books, Friedrich Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra. We're tackling the prologue today, and this isn't just some gentle introduction. No, this is a declaration of war on old ways of thinking, a challenge thrown right at the feet of humanity. Nietzsche is setting the stage, he's introducing his prophet, and he's asking a question that hits just as hard today as it did then. Are we reaching for something greater, or are we just settling for being comfortable? Let's get into it. So, who is this Zarathustra guy? Well, imagine a prophet, a hermit, who spent 10 solid years alone on a mountaintop just thinking. But for Nietzsche, wisdom isn't something you just hoard for yourself. It actually becomes a burden. You can feel it in that quote, right? He's wary of my wisdom like a bee that has gathered too much honey. It's like he's so full of ideas he's about to burst. He has to go down and share what he's found. It's not really a choice, it's a necessity. And so his journey begins. Nietzsche calls it his going under, which is this amazing term for leaving the pure solitude of the mountains and diving into the messy, complicated world of people. And believe me, this first step is going to test him and his new wisdom immediately. I mean, just think about the scale of this for a second. At 30, he just checks out of society. For 10 years, his only real friends are his eagle and his serpent. So when he decides to come back at age 40, this isn't just some casual trip into town. This is the result of a decade of deep, transformative thinking. The man coming down the mountain is not the same one who went up, and he's about to walk into a world he might not even recognize anymore. So who's the first person he runs into? An old saint living in the woods. This guy is basically the embodiment of old-school faith, of turning your back on the world. And the saint is completely baffled by what Zarathustra is doing. He basically warns him, saying people are flawed, they're a mess, and trying to love them will just destroy you. For the saint, the answer isn't to save humanity, it's to escape it. As Zarathustra walks away, it hits him. And here we get probably Nietzsche's most famous and most misunderstood line of all time. God is dead. Now, he's not celebrating. This isn't a triumphant cry, it's a diagnosis. It means that the central belief system, the thing that gave Western culture its meaning and morality for centuries, has collapsed. The foundation is gone. And this old saint, tucked away in his forest, he's the only one who hasn't gotten the news yet. Okay, so Zarathustra finally arrives in a town, and he finds a huge crowd in the marketplace. Is he in luck? Are they waiting for a prophet to give them wisdom? Nope. They're waiting to see a tightrope walker. But Zarathustra, ever the opportunist, sees this spectacle as the perfect, unplanned stage for his very first sermon. He totally hijacks the moment. He points to the rope and turns it into this incredible metaphor. Man is a rope, he shouts, tied between animal and Ubermensch, a rope over an abyss. You see what he's saying? We aren't a finished product. We're a transition. We're this dangerous, unstable crossing from what we used to be, animals, towards what we could become. Being human means you're constantly in this risky, in-between state. And what's on the other side of that rope? The Ubermensch, or the overmen. Now let's be super clear. This is not a superhero with a cape. The Ubermensch is the goal. It's a person who has become so strong they've moved beyond following old rules and can actually create their own values. Values that say yes to life, to this world. The overman doesn't look to heaven for answers. They create meaning right here on Earth. So Zarathustra lays out this stark choice. On the one hand, you have the Übermensch, the path of creativity, of struggle, of embracing risk to become something more. And on the other hand, you have its terrifying opposite, the path of least resistance, the path he calls the last man. In this is the great danger he's come to warn everyone about. He's practically begging the crowd, remain faithful to the earth. Stop dreaming about some reward in another life. In fact, he calls people who promise an afterlife poisoners, because they poison you against the only life you actually have. The real point of it all, he insists, is to fulfill our potential right here, by striving for this Ubermensch. So, how does the crowd react to this grand, challenging speech? They laugh, they mock him, they think his ideas are ridiculous. And Zarathustra has this moment where he realizes he's completely misjudged his audience. You can almost hear him think, okay, fine. You don't want to hear about what you should strive for? I'll tell you about what I know you'll desire. I will describe to you the most despicable thing imaginable. And their reaction tells you everything, doesn't it? They'd rather have cheap entertainment than a hard truth. He's talking about the future of humanity, about creating meaning in a godless world, and all they can think is, hurry up so we can see the circus act. It's this total disconnect. And so Zarathustra unleashes his great warning, the last man. This is Nietzsche's vision for the dead end of humanity. It's a person who has engineered a life with zero suffering, zero risk, zero struggle, and in doing so has squeezed out every last drop of greatness, creativity, and meaning. The last man isn't evil, no. In Nietzsche's view, he's something far, far worse. He's pathetic. What does this world look like? Well, it's a world of ultimate, mind-numbing mediocrity. The whole earth has become small and manageable. Nobody's too rich, nobody's too poor, everybody is the same. They have their little pleasure for the day and little pleasure for the night, and they're very careful about their health. But the most chilling line of all is the last one. We have invented happiness, they say, and they blink. It's this tiny, shallow, self-satisfied contentment that is completely empty of any real depth. And here's the absolute kicker, the absolute irony. Zarathustra paints this picture as the ultimate horror show, the absolute worst-case scenario. And the crowd? They love it. They cheer. They literally shout, "Give us this last man, O Zarathustra. Make us into these last men. You can have the Ubermensch." They are begging for a life of comfort, completely missing that they're trading away their very souls for it. And just as the crowd is cheering for their own pathetic future, the sermon is brutally cut short. The philosophy lecture is over, and a real-life drama starts to unfold on that rope high above them. A drama that becomes a violent physical metaphor for everything Zarathustra just said. So the tightrope walker finally starts his dangerous act. But then, out of nowhere, a jester, this figure of pure chaos, appears on the rope behind him. The jester starts taunting him, yelling that he's in the way, and then with this wild scream, he just leaps right over the walker's head. It completely shatters the man's concentration. The walker, a perfect symbol for humanity on its risky path, loses his balance and falls, crashing to the ground right at Zarathustra's feet. The poor man is dying, and he's terrified. He thinks the jester was the devil coming to drag him to hell. But Zarathustra leans in and offers this cold, brutally honest comfort. He says, listen, in a world where God is dead, there's no devil and there's no hell. Those ideas don't mean anything anymore. Your life is just over. It's a stark earthly consolation. But you know what? Zarathustra has immense respect for this man. Why? Because he made danger his profession. He lived his life on that rope, he embraced risk, and in the end, he died because of it. And in Zarathustra's eyes, that makes him infinitely more noble, more human than the safe, blinking last men in the crowd. He honors that courage by promising to bury the man himself. This whole tragic mess, the sermon that bombed, the crowd cheering for the last man, the death of the tightrope walker, it forces Zarathustra to completely rethink his entire mission. His first day back among people has taught him a very powerful lesson. Just picture it. Night falls, the crowd just melts away, and Zarathustra is left alone in the dark with a dead body. He picks up the corpse, puts it on his shoulder, and starts walking. It's such a powerful image. He came down the mountain to give his wisdom to the living, and the only follower he managed to get is a dead man. He realizes his whole approach, trying to talk to the masses, to the herd, was a total failure. And out of that failure comes this huge revelation. It's a total light bulb moment. His purpose isn't to be a shepherd leading a flock of sheep. He can't just preach to the masses who only want comfort. No, he needs to find companions, fellow creators. He needs to find other individuals who are strong enough to walk the rope themselves. He's not looking for followers anymore. He's looking for equals. He finds a hollow tree and places the body inside as a final act of respect, almost like he's burying his failed first attempt along with the man. When he wakes up, his path is crystal clear. His first mission is over. A new sun is rising, and with it, a new mission. To stop shouting at the crowd that can't hear him and start looking for the few individuals who can. And that's where the prologue leaves us. And man, it leaves us with a deeply unsettling question. One that feels even more urgent today than it did in Nietzsche's time. Think about our modern world, with its obsession with safety, with comfort, with avoiding risk at all costs, this relentless pursuit of a sanitized, predictable kind of happiness. When Zarathustra describes the last man, who says, "We've invented happiness," and just blinks, does that sound a little too familiar? Is that us? Have we chosen the path of the last man, content in our smallness, while that rope to something greater hangs there completely untraveled?
That is the challenge Nietzsche leaves right at our feet.